All right, hello and welcome to this quick introduction at what we do at VIPERdev, how we work with startups and how we just get ideas to a finished product that actually helps someone in like 8 weeks, 10 weeks. Obviously depends a lot on the individual cases, but people come to us usually with an idea or a concept. We turn that into a market entry strategy, and that then we turn into a product that we implement, usually I guess 3 to 6 times faster than you could within internal teams. We have customers on tape saying like, if I had hired my own team, I would probably have paid the 10x of what I paid you. And yeah, build meaningful products that actually help you go into the market real quick. Where does this come from? We're a company of founders. I founded 3 startups last year, for example. I did found some more before. And I'm seeing a bunch of patterns, right? And also with all the startups around me, I see that a lot of people, for example, hire the development team before having talked to customers. They take their idea, they build their vision, which is great, right? You build this vision, and then you take this vision to a developer. So the developer or your developer team will usually say, okay, we'll make this well scalable, great thing. Then they'll hide in a cave, and 3 or 6 months later, they'll come back or not come back, right? You won't have a product that you can release on that day because it always takes longer. And it just takes ages and ages to build. At which point, or maybe even before, people start signing investors to cover more of the running cost. Yet they still don't have revenue. They still don't have customers they talk to regularly where the requirements are coming from. They're still building their own vision instead of building what the customers really need. They start automating everything. They have those developers or other people hired, which are running cost. Every month they cost whatever comes, right? Before even having the revenue to back it up. And even when the revenue comes in, that means jumping from one investor to the next, oftentimes without customer revenue or with too little customer revenue. And that usually leads to founders presenting those big and even bigger vision to the investors, because investors are sold on visions, right? You sell them your future. And then with that money they give you, you usually can't deliver that big of a vision if you don't have the traction in the beginning, because that gives you a bad valuation. And that's why more than 90% of the startups fail, right? And you need to stop being the average. You need to stop just building a product without knowing what your customers need precisely and without having sold to your customers. You need to think smaller. And I'll go a bit into the depth of what that actually means, because those are things that a lot of people say on the internet, but most people don't say what this practically entails. And this is where we've essentially built a framework where we can take an idea, we take like 2 weeks to refine it, we take like 6 or so weeks to build the product, we take another 2 weeks to test it, do some bug fixing, and then it's out. And over the course of that period, we regularly talk to customers, we get contracts, we actually get signatures, and that way we can actually get a startup, a business model working, instead of just building a piece of software for the sake of satisfying requirements. This is like this ever repeating story. People take ages thinking on their idea, being in their own head, usually very little time talking to actual customers. Like, we have had people coming at us who worked with more than one co-founder and then freelancers in addition, and it never worked out. And it is incredible, right? Building a product is a solvable problem. We know that, right? We do 2-3 products every month. It works. But if you are working with individuals or not so professional people, it oftentimes happens that you just spend money without actually ever getting it done. You have great concepts and it all looks great, but it never actually satisfies what you need for your first customers. So let's take a bit of a look at what we do and how we do it. Instead of building a full product and taking like 6 months of development, we try to move the phases down to mere weeks. And in the first 1 or 2 weeks, we take your idea from a concept to an actual business model. We release 1 to 3 products every month, and we've seen a bunch of business models. We know how platform models work. We know how gamification works. We know like the intricacies of B2B sales compared with end customer marketing, right? For example, switching a business model from a B2C to a B2B model can make it way easier to bootstrap it. And that means a much higher valuation in the beginning, even if on the long term you end up being a B2C model. We know how we can apply tweaks to make your model earn revenue faster. We've had cases where during the first 2 weeks of the kickoff workshop, our customers actually gained like 10,000 euros on customer revenue, which is signed for when the product is ready. So within that kickoff workshop, we'll essentially make you sell to customers. We'll make a kick-ass design. We'll look at your business model and we'll get your specification done. And at that point in time, we commit ourselves to building your product for a fixed price. And that actually means like, if you pay that price, you're gonna get that product, no question asked. And that's a guarantee, right? If it takes double the time, we'll do it for the same price. I know very few other companies who do that kind of guarantee, but we've become good at this. We know how to build products quickly. We have our ways, we know the technologies, and we can do it. So after the kickoff workshop, we essentially look at how can we hack your business model into something that we can realize even quicker and without actually coding much. That we call a taped MVP. You probably know the MVP, which is the minimum viable product, which everyone talks about. The problem about the MVP is it's a product, and as a product, people like to have a certain quality to it. The taped MVP is a complete throwaway thing. With the taped MVP, we're essentially helping you to think like, how can I cheat my way into solving this problem without actually building the complete piece of software? That usually works with combining different tools like Calendly and a WordPress instance or an online shop. For Hopefully, we did it with an online shop. With that strategy, for example, at Hopefully, we were live in 1 week because we just had to set it up properly. And we generated over 1,000 euros of recurring revenue through end customers within 4 weeks, which helped us validate the market idea, make the business insanely more valuable to potential investors, and obviously learn a lot about logistics and about how we have to build the product, which saved us a ton of money afterwards. We essentially make sure that before we start taking out the big bucks and developing the full product, we understand it very, very well. We try to pre-sell it to the customer. We work with real customer data and real customer problems instead of assuming everything. And that is really the main reasons why I see so many startups with great ideas failing and not getting up to their potential. Then when it comes to the actual product development, the same principle applies here. Obviously, you want to do a proper job, but you want to focus very, very hard on the MVP. And that essentially means cut down the features so that you can do it in like 8 to 10 weeks. If it takes you much longer, then you really shouldn't do it. You should try to dial down your features a bunch more. And once you've done the MVP, you should definitely gain traction, gain revenue. And this really shortens down your market entry. As it, like with the taped MVP, you can be online in 3 weeks. I've had many calls with some potential customers who were like, I have this and I need this to go to the market. And after half an hour, I convinced them to go to the market the next day with just some minor tweaks. And that's what we do with you. We get you to the market way faster than you ever think you could. And a lot of people say, this won't work with my business model because it's complicated and there's this and there's that and there's that. But you gotta understand here, everyone says that and we almost always find a way, right? At least we can dial it down. We can make it less risky. We can make it more iterative and we can get you closer to the customer. And that's essentially what you need to focus on as a founder. This is a bunch of products that we've done. We've built Hopefully, which is a vegetable ordering app, right? And this is just one example of an MVP that was released with the same design, After, I think, 8 weeks of development or something, we've built FinPlan, which is a financial planning tool for founders. I think that had a total development time of 6 weeks and then another 2 weeks of testing and bug fixing. It's basically a tool where you can add assumptions, expenses, and income as a founder to build your financial plan. And instead of having to move around all those Excel sheets, you can essentially do it all here. You can do it with formulas and everything, and then you get your financial plan, your yearly summary, everything you need to plan your startup, really. So we've done those. We've done a bunch more. As I mentioned, we're releasing a product every 2 weeks or so. So who is this not for? This strategy, like as I mentioned, it embraces the risk of failure, right? The strategy assumes that any feature that we plan by default is wrong, so let's not do it. Let's validate with the customer, and then if we have somebody who says this is valuable and who commits to it, then we build it. So if you're a perfectionist who already knows their customers without really having sold them anything yet, this is not for you. If you have the time and funding to build a corporate style product, sure, go about it. I've seen that. I've seen many people do that. We have worked with some corporates in the past, or SMEs. They were very perfectionistic. I think they spent like 10 to 20% of the total budget on us building the product, and we met their requirements and they never even released it, right? We're talking companies spending millions and then the product never seeing the light of the day. This is not us, and we don't do that anymore. So if that's you, either like you have to change that, if you ask me, or if you believe in that strategy, then I don't think we're the right partner for you. I've seen it many, many times that startups hire software architects who with lots and lots of experience from the corporate world, paying them big bucks and then never getting to market. Those are not the right people who you want to trust to build your product, especially those software architects. I'm not talking like they are bad people, right? But they are not made for startups. Their job and their education is to build perfect software that scales indefinitely. Your job as a startup is to increase the value of your business as fast as you can, while obviously making something that somewhat scales. But if you involve some software architect like that, he or she will build an architecture that scales to millions and millions of users. And if you just take a step back, think about whether you really want to take the risk of building a product for millions of users if you don't even have 100. And obviously this is also not a I want to get rich quick scheme. This is a bunch of hard work. We will make you talk to customers a lot. Obviously, it's an investment on all sides, and yeah, it's a lot of work. So who is this for then? This is for customer-focused founders, for people who want to bootstrap or want to go with very little investment. This strategy basically gives you customer money early. It takes a focus to getting paying customers as early as possible, because that is creating real value compared to investment money, which is like this valuation bubble that you obviously you can create that and that can help you build a better product. And I'm not saying it's never useful, but I've seen many people going from one investor to the next and never actually getting the customer traction they need, which in the beginning works well. They do big promises, their valuation goes up. I've seen people raising millions with this. And then at some point they realize, okay, I do not have the customer revenue to actually back the next round. And that's when big conflicts arise, when the founders usually are like, okay, I think I overpromised, because for that valuation, I had to promise a big vision. And with that money that I got, I can actually not deliver that big of a vision, because then that valuation would be even higher, and that's unrealistic without customer revenue. So I've seen such startups taking that route and then having conflicts with their investors, having to dial back, going from 100K burn rate down to 10K burn rate, making very complicated deals with existing investors to even save the company from insolvency, and then taking smaller rounds than they had in the beginning. So this strategy really focuses on customer money for that purpose. We want to create real value. And if we have real value, we can show that to investors, and that will give us a good valuation that can help us build the product. But the end goal is not to raise more money. The end goal is to create value for customers. So if you're a serial entrepreneur, you're already onto the, I want to build a quick little product. I want to test it on the market. I know my customers. Like, this is perfectly right for you. If you have a strong domain experience, that's quite important, right? We are experts on making your product happen. We're also very, very good at dialing down your business model so that it works. We know platform models. We know how AI works. We know how social concepts work. We know how gamification works, right? We know monetization strategies. And we'll dial down your business model with you. We'll apply some tweaks. But understanding the customer and understanding your domain is what you need to do and what you need to provide. We can get your product out on the street. We can guide you towards how to found the company. We can also help you with legal stuff. We essentially have this framework that can get you to market, but you have to understand, who is my customer? What are their needs? How do I reach them? And then you obviously have to do it with us. Yeah, so this is also especially for impact-driven founders. If you want to create value for the world that we live in, you're exactly right with us. Like, we love sustainability businesses. We love impact businesses over anything else. Hopefully is a sustainability business. It helps farmers to build more diverse farms, which binds more CO2, etc., etc. Those things we really, really strive for. If you're an impact-driven founder, please talk to us. We'll give you discounts, right? We really want you to succeed, and we want to change the world for the better. If that's you, if you find yourself in any of those points, you're right for getting your product to market with us. Then another question that I get asked sometimes is like, when am I actually ready to work with you? And as I mentioned before, the most important part is the domain expertise. You should be able to say, okay, I have this target group. Those are the people that I want to work with. This is their pain. And you should also have an idea about how to get them on the phone. Because if you can't talk to them, you have a problem evaluating your business model, and you will essentially not be able to reach them and sell your product, right? And obviously you need to be serious to get this kicked off. You need to be ready to invest into yourself and into your company. That's time spent. That's also money spent. Founding a company costs money. Our work costs money. Other stuff costs money too. And you don't need like 50K or 100K, but you at least need to be able to say, okay, I'm taking like 3, 4, 5K to do something, even if it's hard, but I want to get this forward. If I don't do it, I'll regret it. And again, here, we'll make you pick up the phone. Again, call your customers, understand their needs, understand the product, try and sell your product even before it exists, those kinds of things. So all in all, we know how this works. Like, we have this framework, we can get you to the market. And if we fail to get you a product that you have on the market, you'll get your money back, right? We know that we can build software, and many agencies only do like hourly estimations and never say like, okay, this is exactly how much it costs, which is why many companies then charge after for like extra work. We give you a fixed price offer and we'll stick to it. If we take more than that, that's on us to build your product. So that's our guarantee. We're a quality provider. We will get you your product. We will not rest until it's done. Yeah, as I mentioned, like we do launch 2 or 3 products every month. Here's a bunch of logos. We've worked with universities. We've worked with big corporations. We've worked with SMEs. And most of all, we've worked with lots and lots of startups who are building their products with us. So yeah, let me sum it up. If you want to get to the market quick and iteratively, make it happen. Don't stand still. Keep driving forward. Set yourself deadlines like next week or tomorrow. and get it done. And if you think that you're a fit for us, reach out at VIPERdev, write an email. You can write to lasse@viperdev.io. That's my personal email address. And yes, I'll be on the other end helping you getting your business to market. And worst case on a call, we've helped many founders get their business model straight with just like a half an hour call, and then they went away their own ways because it wasn't a good fit. But they still saved like 2 months because they had a quick call with us. That's totally fine. As I mentioned, we're impact driven. We want to chat to you. And if you're happy, then we're happy too. And that's really what we need to achieve. Yeah. Thanks for listening, and see you at the call.